Greetings, my beloved Black people. Welcome back to the plight and struggle of Black people in America. As you know, we do our special Black people series on Sundays, and we're back to that. And today we have a very special guest, where all of our guests are special. And I always get so excited. It's really nice when you're Black and you know a lot of other Black people that love Black people like you do. That's a special thing. I hope you get to experience it. Hello, sir. How are you today?
What's up, big brother? How you all?
Hey, I do what I do. Try to make a difference.
Well, you're doing that. It's not trying to make a difference. You're making it happen, man.
Okay. Well, I hope to make the ultimate difference. How about that?
Yeah,
and that's bringing our people together, united. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, tell us who you are, where you from, what you do.
Man, my name's Nigel Boyd.
Okay.
I'm from New Orleans. You know, the Boo, Who That, all of that good stuff.
That's what's
I'm living in Wiley, Texas, just right outside of Dallas right now. But hey, can't get that New Orleans culture out of my system. This Texas thing is what it is, but New Orleans for life, brother.
Well, let me say this right quick. It's interesting because, I've been knowing you more than 20-something years, but I never knew about the real New Orleans accent until after Katrina. You don't have the same accent, So,
well, I grew up in around a bunch of educators, man. So they try to make us speak a certain way, but you can't. Certain things we'll say like the neutral ground. You know what the neutral ground is?
No.
Like it's just the median. In every other city, they call it the median. You got traffic going one way. It's that little grassy area. We call it the neutral ground. So when we go in different cities and we say neutral ground, people looking at us like we crazy, man. Like, what
I've never heard of it.
And then we go make groceries, man. We make groceries in New Orleans.
Oh, man. And guess what else? Because, see, I got a list of words that y'all mess up. I'm going to share it with you, too. I'm going to text it to you. But one of them that's interesting, kind of funny, is churn. CHURN. And that's children. And that's just one. I'm going to send you the list, man. I got the list from one of your fellow New Orleans women that I know. I know a lot of people from New Orleans these days. I love all our people, but man, there's something special about the brothers and sisters from New Orleans to me.
Man, you have to, when you go to different cities, man, you can talk a certain way and people think you're just straight up ignorant, bro, because of some of the vernacular.
Right.
Like I say, make groceries, man. If we could make groceries, they wouldn't have any food deserts in the world, man.
Boy, you're stupid. Yeah, it's interesting though, for sure. I ain't kidding, man, because it's even different localities around the nation. Like on this social media stuff, and I've actually made some actual friends, that wasn't friends at first. And there's one lady in Virginia, and she's actually from North Carolina area, Raleigh, Durham, something like that. And she said it's Richmond, Virginia, and she said they say Merck. It's like M-U-R-K, but that's milk. See, and that's making me think that this is not accidental around the nation. I'm thinking, this school system been screwing us. And I think they've been screwing us more purposely and more harshly than what we realize. Like a perfect example, when I first started my volunteer work in Dallas Independent School District in West Dallas Project, George Washington Carver Learning Center, they were teaching the children to read by way of word memorization. Now, how is that supposed to work? They can't read, but you're going to teach them to read through word memorization. Now, why not phonics? Right? That's what they taught us. That's what works. That's got to be the easiest way. So what is that? It tells me a lot of things. Then you take cursive right now. They have actually 21-year-old people that don't even know what a signature is because they took cursive right now.
No.
Man, ain't none of this stuff accidental, I don't think.
I'm going to tell you something that's funny, man. In the school system, if a kid it's a good thing they have Chromebooks. If they had to write out a report or write out certain answers, man, so many kids will fail because the teachers couldn't understand it. So sometimes I just think they make them write, turn in word just to say they turned it in because they can't read the answers.
What do you mean? Like the handwriting is bad as a doctor or something like that?
So, yeah, the handwriting is so illegible
like
man,
a doctor usually. Yeah.
You can't make out what. And I've been in the class where the students were like, "Can I? I don't know how to spell such and such." The teacher's like, "Don't worry about it. Just write something down and what you think it should be or how you think it should be spelled."
Wow.
Man.
Say, man, you know something wrong with that picture.
See, man, we got marks off for misspelling words, man. You get X's all over the paper for misspelling the words.
Take points. Absolutely.
So that's just saying how backwards, man, our education system is going, and it's across the board, man. So people try to make it seem like certain school districts are better than, and that's not true, man. That's not true. Everybody's pretty much in the same pot of not knowing and not being retaining the information that they're learning.
Right.
Except, you know, the powers to be gonna pull in what they need to pull in at the end of the day and blame who they want to blame. So that's a bunch of crap.
Right. So, in essence, to me, in my mind, we the ones gonna have to fix it for our people. We gonna have to do it.
We have enough teachers. We have enough people who know what they know, man. And it's like each one teach one, teach another, man.
Right.
And I think, you know, if we get past selfishness and like how you always say, just think about all of us, man, and our babies especially. That's the remedy. But you know, they got people out there. I'm gonna teach my kid how to read. I don't care if all the rest of them don't. Even if they're in your household, you know, visiting, and you see that little William can't read, you kind of, not you and me, but people tend to talk about it after the fact. You see how that little boy came over and he couldn't read? I don't want you to be like that.
That's not
that's counterproductive.
Right, we need to try to get them some help. When we see that, try to get that little brother some help.
Exactly. Bring him around more often. Since you're reading so well, bring him around more often.
Right. Read with him.
And let your son or daughter, you know, strengthen their reading skills by helping that other kid read.
Say, that's interesting you said that, man. Strengthening their reading skills by helping him read. And I was going to say, before you even said that part, I've noticed in my life, when I try to help somebody and I actually help them, it ends up helping me every time, and every facet also, educational wise and otherwise. Almost every time when I try to help somebody, I end up benefiting. And I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I'm grateful. That's for sure.
That's how we got to do it, man.
Yeah.
But it's good, man. I'm glad you're doing what you do, Mr.
I'm doing what I can. And just the fact that these opportunities, and you know, I didn't know about this, but I got a friend, Arthur Eric Johnson, wrote the book, The Switch Within. Man, he did everything except pay for it. I had to pay for it, but everything else, because I didn't know how to set up this, set up that, do this, do that. So it's a blessing when you know your black people that love black people and y'all love each other and it's just filled with love. See, that's what our babies need to get to be around. That's why we used to take them youngsters from West Dallas to the Black Circus, Black Rodeo, Postal Picnics, all of that, so they could feel the love, you see? Because some people don't get love at home, and that's got to be unfortunate, sad, hurtful, all of that. But sadly, some people, some children I'm talking about, don't get love at home. So we trying to see, can we give them some love somewhere, sometime, you know? You never know.
100.
Mm-hmm.
Well, brother, I'll tell you a couple other things I do. I'm sure you heard of Capoeira, right?
Actually, I did through you, actually. But I will say this, though. It must be getting pretty popular. I don't know if you saw Shaft 3 or even heard of it.
Yeah, man.
So you saw the scene with the little young brother where he did all that in the club and he said, Capoeira. Yeah, so before you, I never heard of it. But since you, these days, look like it's getting more and more in mainstream, I guess.
It has, man. It's, you know, man, let me tell you. Let's see, me and my son, bro, you know, I got on this Capoeira thing back in '94. I saw a movie with Denzel Washington. It was called Mighty Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
He was like the chief of police at some Caribbean island.
I think it was the Bahamas, I believe. I think the one you're talking about, yeah.
Okay, and you know, I was, you know, who didn't like martial arts and there were kids, Bruce Lee and all of that stuff.
Right.
But he did a couple of moves in the movie. And I'm like, what in the world is that?
Okay.
I'm thinking that's got to be something that's unique to black folks on that island, you know. So when the credits roll, I'm looking and trying to see what is it, and I saw Capoeira come across the screen. I'm like, that must be it. They say stunts by and all of this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm looking it up, find out it's an African martial art, man. And I'm like, okay, got to learn it, got to find it.
Oh yeah.
Went
look
on a
how
hunt.
It caught your eye like that. Yeah, that was purpose. I said, look how it caught your eye like that. That was purpose.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
What that was. That was.
Matter of fact, at the time I was taking kung fu, and when I saw this, man, it's just like you say, it caught my eye. The ancestors must have tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "This is what you must pursue."
Because the ancestors knew who you were.
Exactly.
That's what that is, man. That's what that is. I'm loving it, man. I ain't kidding.
Man, I was mesmerized, and my son was 9. At the time, I was 35, so I started late in the game. But,
right.
I saw the movie, found this Brazilian guy out in Cali. He sent me some VHS tapes. Kind of peeped that out. He was saying, telling me, if I could find some other people that's interested, that he would come to Dallas. All of this.
Right.
In the meantime, I'm talking to my brother, still in New Orleans.
Okay.
We just chatting. He said, "Man, I got a little friend. Man, be doing this martial art with all this flipping and stuff." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "What's it called?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "Is it Capoeira?" He's like, "I think so." I said, "Man, give me his number."
He thinks so.
Yeah, I said, "Man, give me this cat number." So I called him. Your brother named Ruben. Can't think of Ruben's last name, but anyhow, his name is Ruben.
Right.
And we talked for a minute. He said, "Well, I'm not a teacher." He said, "My teacher's name is Curtis Pierre, another brother in New Orleans, man." So I got in touch with Curtis. In the meantime, there was a guy in the Dallas area. He taught like some kind of French. It's called Savate, but it's French foot fighting.
Okay.
And he got wind of Capoeira. He brought in a couple of people to do workshops, but he didn't have an official group. I really think he brought in try to bring Capoeira and blend it into his class schedule,
right?
Just for novelty, right?
Okay.
It's something nice, something new, and he wasn't a black guy, so it's something else. I don't think a lot of people knew what Savate was, so to have the two, it might bring some other dollars. It might get more customers. We put it like that, to bring more customers in.
Right.
But after that, the brother Curtis, we brought him in for a workshop at the Martin Luther King Center.
Sunny South Dallas.
South Dallas, man.
Yeah.
That was the seed. That was the seed, man. We brought him in for a workshop.
Oh yeah.
And some of the brothers who were with us at the time was asking questions like, "Well, is he a master?" Whatever the case is. And I asked him, "Dude, brother, are you a master?" He said, "No," but I knew he had gone to Brazil, go to Brazil like once a year, and he knew what to do. So I don't know why the brother was concerned if he was a master or not. Shoot, if all he could give you his ABCs and not give you the last part of the letters, you getting more than what you knew.
Right.
But he was, man, of humility. But he was like, "Hey, man, I understand where the cat's coming from." He said, "I'll hook y'all up with my master. He's from Brazil." Dude, I mean, he didn't miss a beat, make it seem like, well, no arrogance or nothing. He said, "Hey, I'll put y'all on."
Right.
With the main guy. So we got in touch with him, Brazilian cat, man, black Brazilian.
Right.
Made contact with him. He come to Dallas, and when somebody new coming in and special or whatever, you think you need to put them up in the hotel. Man, cat came in and is like, "Nah, just give me a pillow and a sheet, man. I'll sleep right here on the floor." So it felt like family. Almost.
We are family. Yeah.
He wanted to go to the store, man. Went to the grocery store. The next morning, man, he up cooking fish for the family and stuff, bro.
Right.
But bottom line, man, the humility, the camaraderie.
Black
it was
love.
Almost like instant family from the get-go.
Black love. That's what that is.
And from then, man, it just started rolling, man. Me and my son, VHS tapes, man.
Okay.
We used to go. We was going through Dallas, giving VHS tapes to different community centers, man, trying to push Capoeira. Like I said, I was 35, he was 9. Nobody else was doing Capoeira, so nobody knew about it. They talking about karate and kung fu, and I'm saying, "Hey, man, this started with the enslaved Africans in Brazil.
Right,
This is
right.
ours, you know.
Yeah,
Can
it
we?
is.
Man, we go back 2 weeks later, man. You know, brothers that still have the VHS wrapped up in the plastic we gave them.
They ain't looked at nothing.
All the information I printed out, never touched, man.
Right. Those are black people?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But you know, something new. They never
Yeah, I
heard of
understand
it.
that. I was just for my own clarity, actually, but listeners' clarity as well. But yeah, I just like details. Yeah.
But it was, you know, and I understood, you know, then it was just me and my son. This old man, you know, 35, this dude and his little boy.
Come with something new.
Yeah, something new. We never heard of this, man. And what is these cartwheels and flips, man? Nah, man.
Right.
You can't see how that can be self-defense or whatever. So, man, you know, we did a couple of things, man. I give big praise to Brother Bandelli at Pan African.
Oh, yeah.
In the early
Rest
days,
in peace,
man.
for sure.
Yeah, man, we went upstairs and he gave us a space to
he's a good
get
dude.
it in, man. And it was amazing. We had some brothers from Fort Worth that would come in and we would all do some things together. Like I said, Devin was the baby boy, but man, he had the flexibility. So he really, from a physical level, he could show us all up. From a mature level, he couldn't beat us.
Right, yeah.
But it was,
definitely more.
But he grew up in it. So for me, it was like starting at 35. I'm like, man, there's a lot to this thing. I need to stay in it and stay active long enough for him to grow up with it. You know, so that was like our attachment. Trying to pass something and hope it spread through the city.
Excuse me, I just want to interrupt you for a second since you mentioned Bandelli. You know, Bandelli is the founder of Pan-African Connection, which I know you know that. But this Saturday on the 21st from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., they're having the Malcolm X Festival in the parking lot of Friendship West Church in Oak Cliff.
And what day is that?
This Saturday, the 21st of May.
Okay.
Yeah. From 11 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Oh, we might be able to slide through there and get.
I'll be there. We'll have a booth for our books for sure. So yeah, I'll be there, no doubt. Yeah.
But that was like humble beginnings, man. We you know, that wasn't home. Then we made full circle, came back to the Cultural Center, presented something to the sister there.
Yeah.
Vicky Meat. And lucky for us, she had already gone to Brazil a few times. So she saw Capoeira. And I think she knew about it. She had like a godmother or something in Brazil. So as soon as I mentioned it, man, she lit up.
Right.
You guys can start having classes here. So since 97, we've been at the Cultural Center. The funny thing is, like I said, we're going throughout the city, man, trying to find spaces. And South Dallas Cultural Center opened up their doors, so that's been home base.
That was great.
Meantime, in the black community,
Sunny South Dallas,
Sunny South, for some strange reason, others decided that was too dangerous to come to class or whatever the case is. And we wind up.
When you say others, are you talking about other blacks or others that were not black?
Not blacks, some blacks, you know, all of those.
Blacks were afraid also to come to a black community?
Man, even today, man.
Where were they coming from? Plano?
Man, some of them were in Dallas, just North Dallas.
Right in Dallas, isn't that something? Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And you know how a lot of people relocate to Dallas from companies and stuff.
Absolutely.
These companies tell people, you know, areas not to go in. So they come in, and some of them coming from the hood, you know, they done got lifted in a nice position.
Excuse me, but I got to interrupt again. Kind of like when these foreigners come here to live and relocate, they give them orientation, and they point at us as the villains.
Right.
But yeah, that's right. I just wanted to point that out. I've been knowing foreigners for years, and it's been going on for years too. Yeah. They do us bad, man. Every chance they get.
To that point, I've taught like ESL classes, and I'll tell whoever's in there, so, you know, when you guys get here, sometimes, like you just said, we become the villains.
Right.
I said, but if it wasn't for, you know, civil rights and us doing what we needed to do, you guys wouldn't be here voluntarily. We opened that door and broke down that barrier. Now y'all, you know, nobody explained that to you, but you think we just the door. We constructed the door.
Right.
For them to roll up in it, you know. But and Capoeira has gone through the same thing, man. Like I said, you know, started with the with the Africans in Brazil. Went through the whole racism and slavery and the whole 9 yards. And the disturbing thing today is people try to negate those roots and those origins. So groups like ours and a few more within the country and the world, I would think, we have to be reminders of the roots. Now, that's not telling people that you can't participate.
Right.
We need to be the face of those ancestors that people seem to selectively forget about.
I think a lot of us haven't been introduced to the concept of our ancestors, so we need to speak to that more. Because I can remember when I first heard that kind of talk at Pan African Connection through Mandela, and it was new, and I'm like a sponge anyway because I love to learn, and I'm listening, but so many people are not open to new things, and that ancestral thing, that's heavy. And what I say a lot of times to myself and what our people should think, when we do things in society, in our life, our family, would our ancestors approve of it? And I think for some reason, people can tell what is good and what is not when you put it in the proper perspective. Right. So if more of us would think of how would the ancestors feel about that move? If more of us did that, man, I think more of us would be on the right path of this Black unification thing. I truly
no
believe
doubt.
that.
No doubt. I mean, in addition to that, that's the part of us that's missing, man. I was talking to a sister. We were talking about our roots. And we were talking about the youth, and it's funny, man. I like to play with words, and I just all of a sudden came up with rootless make you ruthless. You know what I'm saying? if you don't have the right roots, man, it's like you just scattered all over the place. And I think for a few of us, who or many, I won't say a few, but there's many of us who finding our way back to something since we didn't have it at birth.
Right.
You're finding it through like what you're doing. You're trying to wake people up about who we are. I do it through Capoeira. Some brothers do it through African music, drumming, dance,
right.
Spoken word or whatever the case is, and we make sure that people we link people back to our origins, not just slavery. We try to go beyond.
Because that's way far from our origins.
Yeah.
I saw somebody say, if you had a book of our history, slavery it was 100 pages. They say slavery would be on page 99. I like that. Yeah.
That's what's real though. But
real talk.
Unfortunately, the way that is presented to us, it's like that's where we started. That was our origins, man.
That's purpose, miseducation. Purpose. See, so we that know got to school our people. Like I saw somebody say, it might have been that brother, I forget his name. He did that thing of what should we do with Jesus, something like that. But the brother said Black people existed 300,000 years ago, but Caucasians existed like 42,000 years ago. So, wow, that's a big gap. Gap.
Man, it's some knowledge, man, that just have people celebrating every day. If we just, did some research or we listen and we kind of tune into our intellect. Because sometimes we have people, even our people, spewing out a bunch of nonsense, and we so hungry for the knowledge, man, that we buy into that crap, man, with no research. We don't check out the sources of that information, man, and we get dialed in. Like it's interesting, even with Capoeira, we had a couple of brothers come to class back in the day who only knew Capoeira as the Brazilian art, and they saw it, and they know it's kind of connected to hip hop and breakdance and all that stuff. So they figured they just, stop by and check it out. And when I started telling them, I said, nah, man, it started with the Africans, man. I said, actually, to go further than that, I said, a lot of people will make sure that you include, when you describe it, make sure that you include Brazil. Oh, don't leave out Brazil. And my statement to them is, okay, when these Africans were converted to what you guys would want to call slaves, and they were developing this art, were they considered Brazilians? And they get silent. I said, no. I said, so if when they created this art, they weren't considered Brazilians, why are you trying to give so much credence to just saying Brazilian martial art and negating Africa off it all together. I mean, if you want to be fair, you want to combine it because Capoeira was developed in Brazil.
Right.
Do that, but don't leave African off. And let me show you a couple of things right quick.
Okay.
If you can see it, try to hold that close.
Yeah. I see it.
Okay, that's an article. When I first started, that was an article. There's more pages to it, but that was the front cover, right? In the magazine. Here was another one. You can see that it says "bad, beautiful," and whatever it says on there. But it's talking about the blackness of it, right?
Right.
It says at the end of that, it says the black martial art. This one says an African or Afro-Brazilian phenomenon. Right. And then you come forward and you find magazine covers like this.
What happened?
Say, bro.
What happened? Oh man. What, capitalized and commercialized, huh?
The interesting thing is, and that's coming out of Brazil, the interesting is, inside the magazine, they may have some black Brazilians talking about Capoeira, but the cover, man, and none of the covers a few of them have, like this one. Yeah. They got a black mestre standing behind a white girl.
Right.
And he's like old school, man. He's one of the, I don't want to say OGs, but he's like the grandmaster in this art, man. They got him standing behind her. They don't even have assistants. You know what I'm saying?
Well, racism and all kind of stuff aimed at hurting black people doesn't start or stop in the United States, unfortunately. That's what I would say.
No, it doesn't. Even if the interesting thing about Capoeira is people are forced to at least mention Africa once and describe it. Oh, it started with they'll say the African slaves instead of enslaved, but it started with the African slaves in Brazil to fight against the slave master and to find their freedom. After they finish that sentence, they done talking about Africans and the blackness of the art. They done. It's almost like we got that out the way. Now let's just let's kumbaya from here forward.
If you missed the introduction, you won't even know it's African.
Man, hey, look, I tell you, we had some interesting experiences, since '94, man, here in Dallas. Like I said, we started visibly as a group in '97 at the South Dallas Culture Center. The brother who we the first master that we had was, I was telling you, the brother Curtis Pierre introduced me to his mystery, which is
from New Orleans.
Mr. Cobrini. He does a style called Angola. And Angola is really giving reference to, Angola and Africa, the continent. So it's really trying to make sure that there's some roots involved aesthetically when you talk about the art. So with him, there's a couple of brothers used to ask, well, man, we're doing Capoeira, how do we use it to fight? The brothers was about combat. We kind of put a lid on that and basically told us, hey, it's not about the fights, the cultures, the music, and all the things that go with it.
Right.
And him being a master and we hungry for what he's willing to teach us, we kind of fell in that flow. Then I heard about this brother named Dennis Newsom. I think and I saw him in a book that's called Martial Arts Around the World. So he's featured in the book doing several martial arts, Ethiopian headbutting art.
Where's he headquartered at, that brother?
Say that again?
That brother, where does he live?
He's in San Diego.
Okay.
Now, when I learned about him and called and talked to him, he had a whole different perspective on what we needed to do as black folks. In the area that he was teaching at in San Diego, it was in gang territory. I don't know if it was Crips or Blood.
Right.
And his thing was, this is where I'm stationed. This is where I need to be. This is where my people are. I'm not leaving. And and I'm being exclusive to the people who needs me.
Okay.
So I'm like, wow, that's heavy right there, man. So I contacted him, brought him in for a workshop. He we went to Fort Worth for one of the sessions, and we were supposed to go to this spot where a brother was reserving for us. Brother never showed up. So we wind up going in another brother's garage.
Okay.
Whole bunch of junk in the garage, right? This brother Dennis, he's like, show me what you guys learned so far. And we showing them the moves that we learned. He said, man, y'all gonna get your ass whipped doing that.
Boy, you stupid.
And he's a short cat, bro. He's
right.
a short brother. And man, he was jacking us up in that garage, man. And for the first time, I got a chance to see how capoeira can be used as a defense instead of somebody showing me something and it was theory and it looked nice and you cooperate with everybody.
Right.
So I decided to, just join in whatever he was doing, man. And he said, "Now I'll tell you, if you want to join with me, that's good." He said, "You're gonna be you wind up being like the black sheep of capoeira, man." He said, "Because I'm unapologetic when it comes to black folks, and I love us, and some people don't like that." I'm like, "Brother, if you're about our community and us, I'm 100 with you, you know." So we started kicking it with him. He introduced us to his mestre, and mestre means master in capoeira. His master is Antonio Benvindo, and his capoeira name is Mr. Ritardo. Now, Mr. Ritardo is in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. He's a politician. He was an actor. He was in several soap operas and stuff like that. He's black.
Okay, yeah.
Several soap operas in Brazil. He's a military veteran. And right now he's a grandmaster. He's like a living legend in Brazil. The area that he lives in, Peña. It's like Peña, Rio de Janeiro. I guess that would be like Oak Cliff or something like that.
Right.
But last year, the area, they put a statue up of him and his brother who's deceased now.
Okay.
And, so it was an awesome tribute to his work. And he's fun, man. Cool. As a matter of fact, a brother drew this little caricature of him. He looks pretty much like that. And when he saw this shirt, when he saw that print, man, he was excited, man. He already got some print in Brazil, man. He loved it. So that become the emblem in our class.
Right.
So Brother Dennis named the group as a tribute to Mr. Ritardo. So our group name is Os Malandros de Mr. Ritardo, which means Malandro means streetwise and street tough. Okay. So we the street tough and streetwise students of Mr. Ritardo is really what it translates.
So those words are Spanish?
Portuguese.
Okay.
Portuguese. So in South America, Brazil is the only country that don't speak Spanish. Okay. They speak Portuguese because they were colonized by the Portuguese. Part of that colonization, as slaves escaped from the plantations, they created African communities called quilombos. Right. Where they flourished, man. They had it, and granted, some of the natives, people of Brazil, kind of blended in with them. Right. Basically, it was their formation, and they had several quilombos, man, and they fought against the Dutch and Portuguese and won for almost 100 years, man. Right. They was in combat, and in all of that combat, and that forged what we know today as capoeira. Was it as refined as it is today? Probably not. Right. Was that the seed for it? Yes, it was. So after they finally ended slavery in Brazil, no work for the blacks. So they were just hardcore, man. They was in the street, man.
It seemed like I remember you telling me one time earlier, like years ago, about the capoeira development, where it kind of looks like dance like it does because they couldn't let it look like they were practicing military maneuvers, so they had to dress it up like it was something else.
So the magic of that, and people, again, man, to me, the ancestors are fantastic.
Ooh,
I see it because
those are blessings.
Man, they made it look like dance. They played the instrument, the beating bow.
Uh-huh.
But before the beating bow came, well, I don't need your glasses. Before the beating bow came, they always played the drum.
Okay.
And you know the drum is powerful. You hear the drum.
And then the drum got outlawed, didn't it?
But the drum,
it got outlawed in America. In the United States, it did.
Oh yeah. But you know, up here, we couldn't do anything. You know, you couldn't be kunta, you had to be toby. So they took all culture away from us.
Right, but they didn't, it wasn't at first, it wasn't until they realized that drum was communication. They didn't take the drum at first. When they saw what was happening, they like, oh, no drums. Okay.
But see, they did similar in Capoeira. It was similar because the drum was initially the heartbeat of what was going on in Capoeira. But like you just said, you can play. You have a few drummers, man. You can hit that for blocks, man.
And send a message with it too. What you drumming about?
They did.
Oh yeah.
Then the beating bow came into effect, and the beating bow, I think, take the aggression off the drum because when we play them all together, the other instruments can't overpower the beating bow. So the beating bow served the same purpose as the drum. They would play certain rhythms to say, hey, let's get it in.
Yeah, you can tell, right. They know what to do.
Absolutely. And then other rhythms were like, whoa, here they come. Let's jump around. Let's make it look more festive.
So we're both resilient and brilliant. Yeah, that's us.
so that was the cleverness. And I think that cleverness still exists today from a standpoint of a lot of people who take capoeira don't know how to use it to defend themselves. So, and then those other martial arts styles, they'll look at it because it looks so dance-like, and they'll discredit the fact that it can be used to fight. So like to me, the ancestors still got a mask on this thing. It's revealed to those. So with Brother Dennis, his thing was, you guys need to know how to use it to protect. So that brought me back full circle because in the beginning, I'm like, I want to learn this African art to go to the karate schools and all this stuff and fight, man. Just to show. Right. And though that's not necessary, so but it's still, if you're not in it to understand the combat side, because the music is definitely a part of it. It's all fused together. Right. The dance-like movements. I mean, like back in the day, man, just the way we used to fight back in the day, brothers be, you bob yeah. All kinds of stuff, patting the legs, man. It was just
I didn't that much, but yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have any estimation of the year that Capoeira was developed in Brazil?
Good question, and I don't.
Okay.
I don't have it 100%.
No, that's any roundabout that you could come from your knowledge, whatever it is, because I'm just trying to get.
You have. I can put it like this. You had different tribes of Africans who were transported to Brazil all over throughout the diaspora, right? And all of these tribesmen had their way of defending themselves.
Okay. So
Capoeira developed out of a fusion of your warrior arts, right? And the different movements. The interesting thing is, you had educators or people within the Capoeira community who try to diffuse the issue of, or try to lessen the impact that Africa had by saying, we've had people who go to Africa and ask about Capoeira, and the Africans don't know about Capoeira. So how could it have developed there? What's interesting about that is because you're not calling it by the name that they called it, right? When being from New Orleans, there's we fix red beans and rice. There's a lot of meat in it, and there's a particular meat that we used to put in our beans in New Orleans that I couldn't find in Dallas.
Right.
I had a friend whose grandmother cooked a bean dish from Brazil. It's called feijoada. It was similar. I'm eating And I'm like, what is this meat? And she said, it's called carne seca. I'm like, this the meat I've been looking for. We call it pickle meat.
But it's the same identical meat, just different names?
Identical meat, different names.
Okay,
so my point is,
if
you would have come to New Orleans saying, where's the carne seca? People are like, what the hell are you talking about?
And they got some, but just don't call it that.
So you go to Africa saying, what? I mean, it's different now.
I hear you though. Yeah, I get you.
If you're going there saying, what is capoeira? But if you start doing the movement, people will be like, I know what this is. You know, we call it this or we call it that. You know, zebra dance was a reference to, but you know, so that's part of the okie-doke as far as distorting the history that people try to pull. You know, it can't be African because, oh man, come on, the instruments are African,
and
all call and response is African. I even have a book. It's called, if you can see this, it says Dictionary of African Borrowings in Brazilian Portuguese.
Wow.
So what they say is some words, because Brazilian Portuguese is a little bit, you know, it's a little bit different from the European Portuguese.
Right.
So there's a lot of African. Matter of fact, Brazil has the largest concentration, or still do, have the largest concentration of African descendants outside of Brazil, outside of Africa.
Africa, absolutely. I think I heard that.
So
yeah.
And like something you alluded to earlier, it's like North America. They were like, all of this blackness, we're not having it, period.
Right.
At least south of us, and even in the Caribbean and other places, they allow drumming. They allow some remnants of where you came from, just to keep the peace, just to give you a little ease. And that's why you see it, you know, throughout some of these other countries, you still see certain things that's so close to older tradition. And for us in North America, we had to kind of dig back. I mean, we have pockets, but it wasn't.
All right,
yeah, it wasn't outright.
What they call it, underground pockets, something like that.
Underground pockets, man.
Yeah.
And you learn, and then you don't learn about it. You hear about it later on if you really be into the system of who we are. You learn about Geechee people and all of these different things that happen.
So many times, this talk about all these different black locations, this, that, and other, make me think of Peter Tosh. You remember him?
Yes,
his song that was titled, "If You're a Black Man, You're an African." And that's real. And that's what our people have to understand, man. This is so ridiculous that black people are so divided among ourselves, almost every area and aspect of ourselves. And that's just so unfortunate. But we're going to get it together, but when we do, it's on.
It's interesting. We unfortunately, we talk about Africa in passing without really trying to embrace our greatness from it. And what I mean is there's still a lot of us who, well, I'm not African. I don't look like them. It's like, okay.
But that's ignorance. That's ignorance, though. That's what that is. They don't know. That's ignorance. Because that's not true what they're saying. They are Africans, but they're ignorant. They're ignorant. So we got to do what we do to make sure many people we can get to know our truth.
It's like they've been tobilized. That's what I mean. To the
point, they've been miseducated. I mean, we've been done, we've been tore up in this country. For us to even be able to have the mindset and love our people like we do, man, we blessed. Because this place has damaged us and it continues to damage us. So we got to repair us. We do. It's going to happen.
This brother Dennis, and I'm calling him by what we would say is his birth name, but in Capoeira, you get, at some point in your journey, you'll get a nickname, right? His nickname is Preto Velho, which means old black man. And like I said, he named our group after Mr. Toro. Mr. Toro means bull. And Mr. Toro, he's just this little short, stocky, solid dude. He's got a gut. My gut is like jelly. His gut is like a muscle.
Like steel.
It's steel, man. I mean, it's strong. But he's got that. It's like that bull type characteristic. So he's Mr. Toro. And through the guidance of Mr. Torto, Brother Dennis became the first non-Brazilian African American to become a mystery outside of Brazil.
That's what's up.
You know what I'm saying? And that speaks volumes for the grandmaster that we have, Mr. Torto. It speaks volumes to his dedication. Brother Dennis's dedication.
Absolutely.
And for Mr. Torto to see in him that he was humble and willing to learn and do what he needed to do to go forward. And he's been an inspiration to the group, man. And we've come under scrutiny because of his strong opinions about us. And it's interesting, when we have a strong opinion about us, it seems to bother other people that we feel so good about ourselves. It's like it's like we're supposed to include other people in our feel good. You know, and the crazy thing, and the analogy that I use is like, if I invite you to my home to eat, there's a segment in my refrigerator that's just for me and my family. But I'm feeding you, you're eating well, and now this little section, you upset because I'm not letting you eat that. So for us and for Brother Mr. Value, it was like, I got my small group in this little segment of San Diego. There's Capoeira groups all around. Why are you bugging me about not expanding to your community? You didn't think about expanding to my community. Right. So now I found my space and dug my hole in my stronghold, and you upset. So then when we started having classes here in Dallas, we would have people feeling the same way. Well, they're in South Dallas, but dude, I went around the city trying to find a place to have classes. The only person inviting us in was the sister at the South Dallas Cultural Center. Right. So that's why we're here.
And then you're not afraid of your people to go there.
Go there. And I'm in a city-run facility. I can't stop you from coming in. Right. You choose to exclude yourself. Right. So one guy, white guy, came to class once. If you're looking at this, you know who you are. He put on the internet that he came to our class and we beat him up. Right. So now the internet is blowing up. Oh, they don't like white folks. This, that, da 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 da. And I'm like, you know, I didn't hear about it till maybe 2 or 3 months later. Absolutely. But now it's already ballooning all through the internet. So when I hit him up, I'm like, dude, who are you? We've never beat anybody. We put more hurt on each other than any visitor. So I don't know what you're talking about. Right. Then he kind of backed up a little bit. He said, well, maybe I was being a tad strong when I said beat me up. But y'all played. But dude, you already done fanned the fire.
Tad strong and lying sound pretty similar.
Yeah. I'm like, so we would have, so now we have people throughout the city, groups that sprung up who would just classify us as being a racist group. So me and my son, me and Devin, we decided to go to a new group that popped up. And I was talking to the instructor over, a few times on the phone, white guy. Right. And he seemed cool, so I told my son, I said, let's go over to the school and just check it out. We're not going to tell him who we are, we're just going to check it out. So we get there, and they welcomed us. I said, well, this is my son, Ezel. He's interested in taking capoeira. So Devin took the class, and the instructor was like, well, he seems pretty, like he's real agile. I said, well, he's on a gymnastic team in high school, which he was. Right. So I said, well, how much are the classes? And he gave me these prices. They were expensive. And he had all kinds of little clicks in it. If you sign up tonight, you get a discount. If we can deduct it straight out your account, you get a discount. If
we want
you take
that money.
4 days instead of 2, you get a discount.
He want that money, man.
Man, I'm like, hey, let me check with my wife and see, if we can get this in the budget.
Right.
So I said, are there any other groups in Dallas? And he said, well, it's us, talking about his group. He said, it's our group. He said, then there's a group in South Dallas, but they only teach blacks. I'm like, what? I'm like, are you serious? I see in a metroplex that's so diverse, they only teach blacks?
That's funny.
And he telling me with certainty, yes.
Right,
Never
right.
came out, the dude never came to our class.
Right.
I mean, he didn't even send.
He must have heard it through the grapevine, huh?
Yeah, he didn't even send anybody to infiltrate. He could have sent
Right.
if he had black students. He could have sent a black
Grapevine.
student and a white student to determine if we would have taught differently.
Yeah.
So when I called him the next day, he kind of cut, I still got a little New Orleans drawl, I guess. And he was like, Nigel, I'm like, yeah. He said, that was you and your son here last night, huh? And I was like,
the jig is up.
yeah, I was like, yeah. And he explained to me that his peers are the one that told him. You know what I mean? So he's going based on, like you said, the grapevine.
Yeah.
But it is spread all through the city, man. Every time another group popped up, I would show up acting like I don't know anything about that.
Right.
And I asked a question. And if I said, well, what about the group in South Dallas? I said, hey, you might consider staying away from there because
that is so funny.
Man. So
man.
So it's been an interesting journey, man.
Very interesting.
That shell as people got a chance to see us and actually come and visit or be in class or be around us.
So how many years y'all been presenting Capoeira now?
Say that again?
How many years have you and your son been presenting Capoeira to people now?
Say, man, it's been since 97.
Okay.
Since 97. It's like
that's like 25 years.
Yeah. And
wow.
Actually a little long. It's all 25. The cool thing about it is, and I think you were telling me something about Black Men Who Care, how you want to bring the youth in to bring it to the next level.
Are you talking about the board members, the officers of the organization?
Right,
Yeah, absolutely.
So
President and vice president going to be 36 and 40. Absolutely. Yeah.
But that's how it should be. The elders step to the side and give room for growth to those, that's coming up, that can run a little faster, whatever the case is.
Well, to carry the torch, see, because then they need to pass it on to somebody too, see. Have the mindset, this for their children's children, you see.
Exactly.
Yeah, we got to keep it going, build it and keep it going. Grow.
So for me, that's what it was with my son, man. He started, like I said, we started together. I'm 35, he's 9. And there were days he wanted to stay home and watch cartoons. I'm like, nah, bro, we're going to Capoeira class.
Right. You the boss.
And it got to the point where I think he even stated, I can't wait to get old enough so I can stop.
Right.
I don't want to be a master. But now he's a contramaster. So
what is that, semi-master?
Pretty much. So you got the master, and right below that is your contramaster.
Okay.
So he's become a contramaster, looking forward to moving forward.
What's up?
To being a master. So for me, it's almost like mission accomplished, man. I got you to where you need to go.
Right.
And there's another brother in our group, the one that you sent me the Facebook page of, Alejandro.
Right.
He's contramaster. So for me, it was like, hey, man, I'm gonna feed you what I can. And after a while, man, feed yourself and move forward and feed others.
And they dig a little deeper too. Yeah.
And the beauty of that, people come in and they're like, well, I said, I used to be their teacher. Now they're my teacher. As they grow and learn new things, man.
Learn more than you.
And they humble enough and loving enough for me to every now and then put a little salt on the food.
But that's the way it's supposed to be. We're supposed to improve every generation. You know what I'm saying? Generations is for at all times. But we're supposed to get better and do better by ourselves, for ourselves, all of that. Now we get sidetracked periodically, right? When we had like W. Du Bois, Carl G. Woodson, and Marcus Garvey, they did what they did. But then when it got to Medgar Evers, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, they was going to do what they was going to do, and they got so fearful, they decided, well, we're going to have to murder these. It murdered our brothers, man. That's cold. That's cold right there.
See, man, in Capoeira, it was a situation, not a situation, but like it was, because it was outlawed. You couldn't practice. If you got caught practicing Capoeira, you'll be sent to jail or you'll be beat or whatever the case is. So it went underground. And some military people, they learned and this, that, and other. But it went through. There's one article that I read. It says born in bloodshed. They talk about the art. They say it was born in bloodshed and nurtured in hell because it was so much, man. You're trying to escape, you learn this fight. And even today, man, there's some Brazilians, and I've come across some Brazilians, and I say, you know, just through conversation, I say, well, yeah, you know, I do capoeira. Their whole attitude changed. Like, I don't want to talk to you.
You say like they don't want to talk to you anymore?
It's like they're still on that. They still got that negative image of what capoeira was, but people just trying to survive, man. You know, it's like you brought people in and made them slaves. Then after slavery, there's no.
And get upset when they fight for their freedom. That don't make sense.
Fight for your freedom. So it was a fight for freedom, and there's still a few people who are upset. And there's people who, you remember I told you that old African saying, until the lion can give you the story of the hunt, the story will always favor the hunter. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the books and stuff that's been written are by, the majority is by, let's say it's not by Afro-Brazilians, or it's not by the masters, the black masters of Brazil who nurtures this thing through the hardship, because they were unfortunately illiterate as far as writing and I mean, just like it was here, basically.
Absolutely.
So some of these guys would, you know, through interviews, they would say, "Hey, I'm a master of this art, but because I didn't go to college and get like a physical ed degree, I'm not allowed to teach in college, although I'm qualified based on skill." So those were lockouts for some of these masters, man.
Say, man, and I know I keep jumping places, but that's making me think like when Sister Isis was denied to be able to braid hair because she didn't have a cosmetology license, but that's our culture.
Exactly.
I think she fought it and won it, but why should she have to fight like she did?
Man, same scenario.
That's
man.
ridiculous, man. So when are we going to see how much we hate because of our blackness and embrace every one of us because of our blackness? When are we going to do that? Man. I mean, we got to keep putting this out there. Somebody going to wake up. Well, I'll say this, though. This is going to be a contributor. This right here. This is going to help tremendously. Black Massacre. See, most people have heard of Black Wall Street, and they've heard of what's that one in Florida? Rosewood, which I have heard of those. And this book includes the massacres in Philadelphia with Move, which I didn't know those were massacres. I knew about those. But this book has documented 27. I had no idea there were those many black massacres in this country. This can help galvanize. If this doesn't help galvanize us, man, ain't nothing will. Because this shows that we don't care what you believe in, what you live like. If you're Muslim or Christian, we're going to kill you because we want what you have. That's sad.
And say, man, you're saying 27, and that's just what's recorded in that book.
That's what I said. This is only 27 well documented. Yeah. See, you know they got probably thousands not documented at all. These are well documented 27. You know it's thousands. Oh, come on, man. If not hundreds of thousands.
and it's ridiculous. But a book like that is to me it's like an alarm clock. It's a wake up. You know,
awakening, something to show us. Look, how many times did Malcolm tell y'all he don't care about what you live like, feel like, or think like? He don't like you because you're black. This show, they killed us because we black. What we got to see?
I call that critical race facts. Because right now, everybody debating over critical race theory.
Yeah, but this ain't no theory. Like you said, facts. These ain't no
critical race facts. Right. And that's what should be presented. You know, it's no argument. We can argue over critical race theory because people saying this.
Because it's a theory.
And it's a theory.
These ain't
argue that. I agree with you. Argue that. But you can't argue critical race facts. And that's the way I like to come from. Even my mentor, Preto Video, when he come in and do workshops with us, man, he start, like I say, unapologetically give some true facts of the plight of black people in America.
I'm glad you mentioned that unapologetically part, because a piece I did not long ago, sadly, we got some of us that's ready to talk, but they still worried about offending somebody, even while you tell them the truth. Why are you worried about offending the oppressors when you're telling your truth? That's probably some of the residual effects of chattel slavery. But as we enlighten our people more and more, people will get better and better, numbers will get better. Because many people realize what we realize, we're just not together, doing it together. You see what I'm saying? But it's going to happen. We're going to come together, and like minds are going to do like things. That's what I know.
Truth is true.
Absolutely.
I mean, it happened. Maybe you wasn't, and none of us, a lot of the things that happened wasn't directly involved, but indirectly it affected a lot of different people different ways, especially our communities. And even
it shows how they feel about all of us. So we are directly involved. You see what I'm saying? Even if you're not physically direct, it's direct.
Yeah, you're right. We involved, but we wasn't
the particular ones that burned in that fire, like in Philadelphia, the move and stuff like that. Yeah. But so I'm gonna tell you this, man. Go ahead.
It's amazing how modern day, because of our cell phones, and we're able to see images, how people get so disturbed over an image that for us has been happening for a long time, right? Some of the things that they're showing and some of the killings or whatever the case is. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, we're not living in the same fear. It's an issue where we fear what may happen, but we don't have the fear of, if need be, retaliating and protecting yourself if it comes to that. So back in the day, it was like, man, brothers getting lynched, sisters getting lynched, places getting burned, and you running for your life and then trying to hide. And if it happened in Rosewood, you feeling the effects of that if you live in Oregon. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's touching bases with you. They did what? If you live in Cali, if you live in Washington State, you feeling that energy of what just happened to a whole community of Black folks and stuff.
Absolutely.
These days, we can rise up and say things and people look like they're afraid to say it. It seems like you have a fear and you have the freedom, like you said, unapologetically, to actually say, I don't approve of this. Or you're not going to talk to me that way. You're not going to treat my kids that way. You're not going to treat my wife or my husband this way. Or even if I'm an affluent individual, I'm still looking and saying that community might be underserved, but you're not going to handle them the way that you handle them. Because we still stay separate for some reason. Those who have act like they made it out in some cases, not all cases. Right. And you got the real food, like everybody got that same opportunity to raise yourself up by the bootstraps. Right. Can you do better? In some cases, yeah. Can you do that well? There's no space for everybody.
Well, absolutely. That's why we need to be thinking as a people, and we all help each other. You see? Yeah, I don't know about the intentions of the Talent 10 for W.B. Du Bois and them, whether it's just a talk for whatever reason. But, I know people like me, you, and several others that are sincere and want to help our people, help ourselves, and going to do everything we can to make that happen.
Man, my mestre and my grand mestre in Rio, man, the one in Rio, Mr. Toro, man, he does that for his community in Brazil. That's why they honored him and his brother.
That's right. Is Pele in that same country, the soccer player, Pele? Is that the same country?
Pele.
They love him, too. They love him.
I'm gonna tell you what's funny after I tell you about Mr. Petrovelli. Mm-hmm. In his community, man, his brother could be, for what I've seen other instructors and masters do and charge their students,
right,
and live well. Mm-hmm. He would prefer seeing folks come to class than have to demand that, hey, you can't come if you're not paying this $150 or this $200 or whatever the case is. Mm-hmm. So you come, we gonna all work together. If we all gotta eat bologna sandwiches together, that's cool. At least we eat, and he's giving of himself his work, like you do, like I do, right? Mm-hmm. But I know guys, man, who have taught capoeira, man, paid their way through grad school.
What's that last part?
Paid their way through grad school.
Okay.
They may have had another job too, but
right.
The amount of money you reaping, you serving. It's almost like you're serving customers. So people coming in and they paying. And the crazy thing is, they paying for limited information as far as movement, as far as the history of the art.
Basically, so paying for inferior information. Right, inferior.
And some people, and I have to be real, and some folks, they perform the movements well. They speak great Portuguese. They play all the instruments and all of that stuff. Probably been to Brazil a few times. But there's certain elements that's missing because the instructors don't have it, you know.
Right,
and they drop in like the bias or the untruth and the fact that you don't keep Africa in what you do other than what you're forced to do, because the music is African, it's Afro-Brazilian, but it's still Africa up under those rhythms and stuff. And you have to do that. You know,
blackness and greatness just keeps coming together, man.
Yeah.
I know I'm off something for sure this time. Did you see that documentary called Chops?
Yeah.
Say, man, now you remember the part where they're preparing for that challenge, Duke Ellington Jazz Festival, right? You remember when they was in the classroom doing pretty good, but they needed a lift. What did he do? Brought that black man in, remember? And he gave him about how to feel the music. The white boy couldn't do that. He could get him through the technicalities of the music field. Well, when it comes to understanding and feeling the groove, he brought that brother in, didn't he? You feel me? That's what that is, man. We that people.
Everything that we've developed, like I said, I keep in Capoeira. I remember my first semester, he came. I saw him, not here, but I saw him at a workshop in California, Cabrini, Mr. De Cobra. Mm-hmm. He was at a workshop in California. A lot of masters there, big thing. And everybody doing their movements and the basic movements, everybody looked similar or the same. He came in there with a flow that just confused the masses, but they couldn't keep up. And he's coming with the juice. I mean, He's coming with the stuff. So when you used to seeing copies of the blueprint, you almost think you're there. Then when you start seeing the real thing, it's almost like, what is that?
Yeah, you know it.
A sister here in Dallas, she came and saw us do Capoeira before, and she's with some other group or seen or been affiliated with some other group. And when she saw what we were doing, she's like, well, what is that? And we're like, this Capoeira on go. This the roots of whatever it is that you
yeah. I remember earlier you mentioned that. So are there different categories of Capoeira?
I'm gonna give you two answers. At the base of it, it's all the same.
Okay.
It comes down to me. It comes down to your ability and certain specialties in style of what you're doing. Almost like jazz or hip hop or even dance, man. Dance in Philly was different from dance in New Orleans, was different from dance in black dance I'm talking about.
Right.
Dance in other places. So you wind up coming up with stuff that's different, but it still might be to the same music. Okay. The same rhythm or whatever the case is. So in Capoeira, in the beginning, it was just Capoeira, man. They didn't have any it didn't have any specifications as far as names.
Okay.
And then one of the famous masters, Mr. Ibimba, he kind of threw his slant on how he wanted to present Capoeira, because it was outlawed, so he's trying to make it appear to be more legit. Right, so he put some pieces in there that gave it a different structure, which there was some pluses in all of that, and it was called Capoeira Regional. Regional meaning the region of Brazil. This Capoeira, the way he stylized it, developed in Brazil or the region of Brazil, versus it being a little more free flowing, like everybody had been doing. So he said, "Hey, we need to get this together. And we're gonna put some more structure, basically. You know, so when you come in and train, you know you're gonna do your ABCs, you know you're gonna do this, then you're gonna do this, and you're gonna progress like that. Mm-hmm. Whereas, in my opinion, and from what I've learned before then, it was almost like you got the masters at the basketball court doing their thing, and little dude come in and he's just getting it because he's in there. You know, big guys, old guys or OGs will show you some stuff, but it wasn't like it was a progression. But you was eating, you was getting fed, right? And that's our music. That's how we just learned to play, to sing. It wasn't always official, but you got some of the best singers who never went to singing school. You got some of the best musicians who never took music classes per se.
Right, they can't read music, but they can play anything you need them to.
And just as well. And real musicians appreciate that. It's like, yeah, I went to school for it, and you didn't. And man, I love what you do. To me, that's a genuineness. But then you got those, I went to school and you didn't. You're not as good as me. You feel me?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And in Capoeira, that's what you wind up having with different styles of different groups, and the fact that you didn't, you weren't a part of a group, but here you are learning or you're attached to somebody. So anyhow, with Mr. Bimba, he created Capoeira Regional. Another famous master was Mr. Pastinha, who tried to bring forward his version of what's called Capoeira Angola, which represented, Angola, Africa. And those are the two main names that you know in Capoeira. Mm-hmm. The interesting thing is that we limited that knowledge to just those two because, again, those mysteries and the brothers back in those days, they weren't writers. You wasn't traveling, it wasn't no dark red or whatever to get from point. So with these two masters, they were probably people as big as Brazil. They were probably capoeiristas who heard of them but never actually met them. It may have been on that same level. Right, they just didn't get the recognition, right? Mm-hmm. Because you're talking about millions of Africans that went to Brazil. And both of these masters that I'm talking about learned from Africans. They didn't learn from the last two Africans.
Right.
So there's a lot of people.
Still developmental probably when he learned.
Yeah. So that, if it was passed down to me from my father who learned from his father who learned from his father, we never really created no legitimate school or whatever, and we wasn't in mainstream, you may have never heard of my family structure, right? Mm-hmm. So there's different styles of what people do and different rankings or whatever the case is, but at the end of the day, it's like when you're in a circle, which is called the harder, can you get in that circle and do what needs to be done? It's a mock fight, and sometimes it winds up being a real fight.
You mean other people getting angry or something like that?
Getting angry, you done hit me too hard, and I'm expecting you not to.
Okay, so it's anger.
just like on the basketball court, you get out there, some dudes.
Right, and it's not even supposed to be a fighting sport.
Not even. And it depends on who you playing against. If you're playing against some dude that's real hardcore, you're not whining as much. Or if you go into a playground and people want, hey man, you can't be calling those fouls out here. And you're prepared for it.
Right.
And Capoeira is pretty much the same. That's the one sport I always relate to Capoeira because you got that fancy factor. But at the end of the day, if you're not dropping that ball through the hoop, it don't matter.
No matter how pretty it looks.
Capoeira, you can do all the fancy. Mm-hmm. You can sing all of the songs, but when it comes down to defending yourself, using it, a lot of people wind up doing something else because they take karate because they're not sure about their Capoeira.
Yeah, how to use. They might be sure how to use the Capoeira in that respect.
It's interesting. It's fun. It's definitely good exercise.
Right.
But I had to take this other thing because I don't know how to use it. And you don't know how to use it because the teacher you paid all that money to never taught you how to use it.
Because he didn't know how to get you to use it.
Because he don't.
Right.
Yeah. And that was even in the karate books from back in the day, they used to have articles that would say, how to fight a street fight, how to beat a street fight. Now you taking karate, you taking kung fu, which is supposed to be martial arts. And I'm not saying in this rare form, I'm talking about in the commercial form that they have in the United States. Mm-hmm. You writing articles on how to beat somebody in the street, dude. Isn't that what you're training for in a dojo? Isn't that what you're paying for?
Yeah. I thought that would do it, right?
So with Capoeira proved itself as a street fighting art, man. There's stories of Capoeiristas who, because guns wasn't prevalent back in the day. Capoeiristas who would beat police, man, and take their batons and stuff. Bring them back to the precinct or whatever the case is. So, and the weapon of choice back in the day was straight razors. So these guys would fight with straight razors, and it was brutal. So the old masters, they talk about those days. They know how violent it was, and of course these days that's not required. And at the end of the day, somebody pull out a 9mm, and Kung Fu, Capoeira, nothing has a match for the bullet.
Man, that's real.
But at the end of the day, for me, guy came to class once and was like, man, I see y'all doing that Capoeira stuff, and what would you do if I did this or that? And he showed me some things that he would do. I said, well, I'll probably pick up a brick and bust you in your head, partner. He said, what Capoeira move? I said, that was a Capoeira move. I said, because for the Capoeirista, what you do is not separate. It's not like Capoeira is this extra thing that I do. It's just that thing that I am. Now, you got some people who are just students, in my opinion. They're just students and customers. Capoeira is like a hobby. It's like that extra thing. Then you got those Capoeiristas, man, that's their life. They live, eat, and breathe, what it is. So in a fight, if a particular move works, it works. But at the end of the day, it's not about, I did a Capoeira move. What you'll go home with your head split open is, I fought this Capoeira dude, and this is what happened to me. So we trying to talk about how you win a fight. And that's how our ancestors escaped. I mean, the movement had to be something that was permanent, something that was definite. So some of the kicks we have, I mean, they knock out moves. They're maiming moves. There's moves that hurt so you can escape, not hit, and we're going to still be boxing or fighting.
So the target must be crucial in those situations.
Yeah.
Where you land, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's got to be done, and we trying to get the freedom, not here fighting so we can
right. Fight all day. He's trying to keep moving.
Yeah. And it's still like that if you have an instructor that's willing to show you. But a lot of people come to Capoeira because they like the music. It's fun. It's almost, for some people, it's like a moving yoga. You come and you just relax, and I like the music. If you're in the heart is, like I said, a circle. If you hit them, they say, oh, you're not supposed to really make contact because it's a conversation. And I'm like, yeah, but sometimes there's an argument. Are you ready to debate? So what you want to do?
Yeah.
And we've had students who were gentle, and we had to kind of convert them to, hey, it is a martial art. So, and I don't like saying martial art, I like to say self-defense. It's like, how are you going to defend yourself? Even if it's through conversation, some things you can say that's self-defense. If you're able to talk your way, if you can run.
If you can de-escalate the situation, that's a good thing.
That's self-defense, man.
Right, absolutely.
And in our class, we try to cover a lot of things that involves de-escalation, but at the same time, when it's time to step up, you have to step up. With Mr. Bello, like I said, I think he's like a year older than me. I'll be 63 this year, and I think he'll be 64 if he hadn't already turned 64. Even at this age, man, if I had to go in a hand-to-hand physical fight with anybody, he would be one of the people I chose. Because I know he's gonna bring it by whatever. And not only does he do Capoeira, he's like one of the lead guys for information as far as African martial arts. So, like I said, he knows a whole lot of other things in addition to Capoeira. But he's a tough little cookie, man. Now, I know if you're looking at this, I love you, but if it come down to you and me, bro, I have to hit you with a bat. I'm telling you now, man. But he'll be a good guy to have on your side. He don't look like a predator. Right. But if it's, I think he's able to spot confrontation when somebody else might be trying to guess and negotiate, and you realize, nah, dude, what you talking for? It's time for us to fight. You either got to put up a bounce. So that's one thing we've learned from him, which is different from what a lot of groups teach, is being that fight mindset. Don't mean that you go and you fight, but at least you know you're learning some things and you have the confidence. At the end of the day, you know better than you are your art. There's no better than you are a fighter. Karate, kung fu. If you're not a good fighter, you're gonna get beat. So people say, was Capoeira better than? I'm like, I don't know if it's better than. I know it's the best for me.
Right.
The best for it's a good thing for our people because you have so much history behind it. So if you have to fight, you're defending a lot of things, and you ain't just defending yourself. You're defending the honor of, you know what I'm saying? Of those who came before us. So if you're a black man doing karate, I can't see you really doing a whole lot of where you're trying to defend the honor of Japan, because all Japanese don't like you.
Right. Well, I don't know no people that love us, but the good part, it only takes us to love us, and we be good. And we working on, many of us do already. We just not on the same page on some of the activities to do for our people. Some of us don't know about loving ourselves, but we keep doing what we do. Others that are doing what they do keep doing it, and at some point we're gonna meet. And as you already know, there's some things working and cooking that you don't talk about on social media. You know what I'm saying? That's what that is. So, brothers and sisters, it's coming. Just know that. Black unification. And when we unite as a people, we'll thrive rather than just merely survive. That's what I know.
That's real talk, though, man.
Absolutely.
That's real talk.
No doubt.
That's real talk. And to all you people that's looking, I'm telling you, this guy that calls himself, huh?
I just felt my goodness. I said, I hope he don't hit me too hard.
No, I'm saying, since day one, you've been consistent with your love for who we are, man, since I met you. And that was on the front page of the Dallas Weekly, which is a black newspaper that showed. It seemed like they could have showed any picture, man, but you guys was on the front. Black men who care. And y'all had
matter of fact, it said black men who still care, I believe, because we did the Million Man March the year before.
Million Man March.
Yeah.
Right after I saw that, man, I was like, what? And man, I reached out to you.
And that's how we met.
Way back then, I'm like, brother, what's going on?
What year was the Million Man March? 95, 96? Yeah, it was then. That's when it happened. You saw that article.
It's been real, man. And you, like I said, you've been consistent. A lot of people who try to present themselves as being, in a community, defending who we are and trying to move us forward. They kind of flake out. And they've lost their stride. And I'm saying, I know people get older and you might get a little weary, but you walk as far as you can. If you need to take breath, that's why you got them youngsters with you. You got that next generation right there.
There you go.
To move forward, man.
Absolutely.
I'll give you a glass of water, and if you have to be in your wheelchair, they just roll you where you need to be.
Yeah.
But you have to be that type of guy, man. And a lot of us, I don't know, man. We don't present that guidance. I'm glad that I've surrounded myself with brothers like yourself, brothers like Mr. Crickavilla. I'm glad he reached out and he got us connected to Grandmaster in Rio de Janeiro.
That's a blessing. That's
actually a living legend.
That's a blessing for sure.
And at the end of the day, man, it's like people say, for me, the whole Capoeira thing is having a black face. I represent the names of those capoeiristas that's not written in anybody's book, man. Who came before us. So when you see me, you hear me talk about Capoeira, and people used to hate that when they come to our class, if we present it from a black perspective. I know I did. People come to class and it's like, oh, can we take a water break? I'm like, man, you just been here for like 20 minutes. Our ancestors couldn't in the hot fields, cotton and sugar cane, they just could have just stopped.
Man, you know what we've been through.
Yeah, those conditions were worse than you being in the air-conditioned building with the mall down the street and a Williams chicken. What you
tell me about? Yeah, some of them have had it too easy. I've seen where some parents, like my age and older, but when they were younger, raising their children, and they had the mindset that they want to give their children all the things that they didn't have, but things is not the answer. That's the unfortunate part. I bet you if a lot of those adults gave those children some of the discipline that they received more than the things that they didn't receive, I bet those babies probably turned out a lot better. Because discipline is not a bad thing at all.
Say, man, discipline and just sometimes what I've noticed is the interaction that men have with boys, man, is not the same. Like some of the kids at the school I'm at, man, they like to come and, man, I'm boxing with them, and we talking about fifth and sixth graders, man, and since I cut my hair off, and they'll come behind me, man.
The first time I ever saw that.
Yeah, man.
The first time. You remember when I first met you, you had locks.
I had locks, yeah, man. The locks stopped growing here and was here, and I was like, man,
but it look nice on you. You look good with the bald head, yeah.
But the kids will come and they'll pop and teach me like, don't hit in the door. I say, I'm cool. This is how we play. Because when I get a chance, I'm smacking them on their head and wrestling with them, and everybody's looking and they wonder why the kids love me. It's like, especially the boys.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, because y'all giving them too much mother's milk all day. Y'all patting and, oh, you okay? And I'm like, boy, get up. And you're getting those scratches. And they enjoy it. Even the kids who seem like they're the problem kids. Man, by the time I'm punching at them and batting them upside their head.
Man, I tell you what, like these years volunteering in these schools, man, when you be a black man walking through the hall, them children look like you layered in gold, man. I ain't kidding. It's like that career day I did, 2 weeks ago. Say, man, them babies waving at you like they know you. And they don't even know you. They're just glad to see you. I'm like, wow, I loved it, man. I had a ball that career day.
Yeah, man, look, for the black kids, it's a plus to see other faces that's real and genuine with them, not just, hey, you need to point the finger, making them seem like they're the problem. And then for the white kids and the Hispanic kids where I'm at, man, it's like they get in the same groove, man, and they be feeling, man, like we cool. Man, I hear so many stories from these kids, and I know they don't talk to the teachers about them. And all the teachers wondering, what is it? Why do they like you so much? It's like, hey, because
I know the answer. They like you because they can feel that you love them. I know why they like you. That's why they like it. Because they can know you love them. That's why.
Yeah, and it's no play when you messing up. I'm telling you. I don't pull the kids to the side and try to whisper what they're doing wrong. Man, I front them out in front of the whole class.
Well, they acted up in front of the whole class, right? So what you talking about? Man,
you disturb the whole class.
That's my world right there. You in, boy, with them babies, boy. Ooh, that's a lot of.
And at the end of the day, they appreciate it, man. We have so much fun. But I think, like I was telling you earlier, that's we as adults, man, we fail the kids, and I'm glad to be connected with brothers like yourself. Glad to be in this Capoeira group, Luis Melandros, Mr. Toro, with the leadership that we have in the group where it's like, pull no punches. And like I say, Melandro means street tough, and just street tough and just being wise, man.
Oh, yeah. We're getting there, though, slowly but surely, because one thing about it, unless you're actively involved in something positive like what we do, you won't know about it because mainstream is not going to promote that. Maybe a story or two where Black History Month or whatever they do, but they're not trying to help us help ourselves. So we shouldn't expect nothing from them. I know I don't. I don't expect nothing from them, and I know we can do it.
Man,
and I'm going to.
The last time here that we got some accolades in anybody's publication was in 95. The sister Linda Jones, man,
Linda Jones, she did the N-word article with me when she was with the Dallas Morning News.
She did an article with us way back in 95, man.
Yeah.
And it was
the Morning News still, I see. Yeah, that was Morning News.
Feature article, big, lots of pages, and
right.
And that's
a real sister right there.
Yeah,
that's a real sister right there.
And outside of that, man, we haven't had anybody come through and say, hey, let's see what this group is doing and talk. I think we had one thing on Channel 4 once, way back in the day, and we had a Brazilian guy that was with us back then, who was a high school student with Devin, right? And he, no capoeira. And he found that we did it, and man, this cat would come to the crib every day. We'd train, We became good friends, and it got to the point where I think his education of self didn't exist. So when in class we would have conversations about slavery, or like you said, the plight of black people in the world, not just America.
Mm-hmm.
It was uncomfortable for him.
Mm.
So when we were going through all of these issues about race in our group, I think his misunderstanding of who we were contributed to what these other people were thinking, because he stopped coming to class. He tried to create his own class, and most of his students were Caucasians, and I'm sure that some of the conversation would be, what our group is and what our group is,
Right,
it's not.
right.
And when other groups would come to town or started in the city, they knew him and they were friends with him, but they weren't friends with us. So if he was genuine to or had understanding of what we were about, and had nothing to do with excluding people, it was really loving ourselves, he would have been more of a like an ally, saying, well, that's not what this group is about, because he had their ear. But I think he was more contributing to his misunderstanding of, what it's like to be black in the world, not alone just Dallas, in the world, because he didn't experience it. Then being a Brazilian, in my opinion, this exotic guy in the school system, he probably got a lot of, not probably, I know he did. He was getting attention from Caucasians that he wasn't getting in Brazil. So now that was new for him. And then, of course, I know the black kid was probably giving him a lot of flack, not because they didn't like him, but because he was different. And he didn't understand that. It's like, it's not bullying per se. It's
Mm-hmm.
what the kids do. You could have been coming
Teasing.
from New York.
Yeah.
And you was gonna get teased the same way, right?
Right.
So I think that kind of made him steer towards the other students and gravitate away, away from us, because we were on a whole different tip about what we are and what we do. And I think he's an adult now, grown, and I hope his perspective has changed and he's seen more things and understand that what we was about when he was in there was a truth that he just hadn't been exposed to yet. And
Right.
I think with his travels and he's still doing Capoeira, that he's seen some things and where he might think he would have been accepted, he wasn't. You know what I'm saying? Because of the color of his skin. It had nothing to do with anything else but the color of his skin.
Right.
And he had to deal with that. So I think a lot of people like him go through that, but I definitely know that he was a contributor, and not purposely, but because of a misunderstanding of what our group was about and why we were established and how we were trying to hold on to the values of those who came before us. And he didn't have exposure to that. It seemed different. Because in Brazil, man, we know some light-skinned people, man. In Brazil, you don't even have to. It's a weird thing that occurs with color. Like with you and myself, it's like, okay, you preto, you dark. Ain't no doubt about that. In America, you could be very light and still consider yourself black, or you get treated as if you were blue, black, or dark. It doesn't matter. In Brazil, it's like you get a few more nickels if you disassociate with black based on how light you are. You see what I'm saying? So in his case, maybe it was partial that, because he wasn't dark as we were, but just to get more attention than he had from these white students that he was getting from these black students, probably made him shuffle to that side. Then we talking about power to the people in our class, and we not feeling that. It's like the only way that anybody in the city could really feel validated on an opinion, should I say, have an opinion about what we do and don't do, would have had to come from him because he was with us. So if he went there with his misunderstanding,
Well, see, I notice you keep talking about his misunderstanding, if though you giving him the benefit of the doubt of not doing anything maliciously. Why do you feel so certain that he didn't do anything maliciously?
Well, it's malicious, the fact that you do it, whether you misunderstand or not. You're doing it with intent.
Well, see, when you kept saying misunderstanding, it made me think you felt that he didn't have any ill will. You see, that's what I'm talking about. When you kept saying misunderstanding, like you was giving him the benefit of the doubt of not having any ill intents. But I'm trying to say, why are you giving him that?
Because I think it was youngster, different country, ignorance.
So you don't think you have no youngster, different country that have racist mindset towards black people?
You saying that? But you're saying that we were? I'm talking about. But you're saying like people who we would consider black?
No, I'm talking about that particular guy that you've been talking about all this time. You don't think he could be racist towards black people, a racist mindset towards black people?
No, because his mom was as dark as you and his sister.
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know you said he was Brazilian, his mom, you said something about his complexion, if though he was lighter.
Yeah, so, like mom, sister. You know, even I have family members who have dark skinned dad, light skinned mama, both black parents.
Absolutely.
That, you know, so it's in Brazil, and it's changing. It's changed a lot, man. It's almost like the civil rights that we went through here. Mm-hmm. It was on the back burner in Brazil, man, and it was so hard because it was so oppressive. It was so much different as far as moving forward than we were able to do here. So you got the school system. We think the school system is jacked up, you know, and there's a divide between those who have and have not.
Well, is that a third world country, Brazil?
Nah, man. I mean, they got third world environments.
Right, but it's not categorized as a third world country.
I wouldn't think so, man. There's so much that come out of there, man, and so much tourism and so much wealth that comes that's there.
Well, look at the poverty level there. They have boroughs of poverty there.
Yeah, it's a lot of poverty.
Poverty a lot worse than some poverty here, right?
Oh, way worse, man.
Yeah,
way worse. And if you come in, and I'm not saying that this guy did, but if you're coming from that type of environment, used to seeing that, everything here in the Metroplex of the United States seems so much better.
Absolutely.
You know? And then the last thing you want to do is be pulled back into a situation that, and that's why I keep saying misunderstand, that you think is negative. For example, there's a old movie called Quilombo, and I think I mentioned earlier about Quilombo was like black communities that were formed by ex-slaves in Brazil. So the movie Quilombo, it showed like the popular Quilombo that was called Palmares, and it go through some things and some situations in it. And it's all in Portuguese, you know, that had English subtitles. And this young brother never saw the movie. He saw the movie, he watched the movie with me on VHS, and at that point he was like, I never even had an idea that slavery even existed, anything like, the movie was soft. So he didn't even see any, it wasn't rated R or nothing. It was real colorful. But I mean, it showed some instances, but it made you think about how Capoeira came to be and what the slaves in Brazil had to deal with, what they had to escape from, what they escaped to.
Right.
And for him, he'd never seen the movie. So that was a slight wake-up call for him. So to not even know what the plight of blacks in Brazil,
in the country you live in, you only know what's happening.
you know what's happening. You don't even know how you got to where you are, what the history at that level. So that just goes to show how we talk about what our history books are like here, but what happened from what they tell me in Brazil, when they had a change of government or whatever the case is, what they claim is all of the negative stuff about slavery and all those horrific environments, all of those, that information was destroyed. Now, I don't know what fool can honestly believe that everything was destroyed, so now we can start anew. So now we can all start on the same path. I mean,
I don't think that was the motivation. It's just like this stuff here where they don't want to tell the truth about our experience in enslavement, you know. So it looked like these things just evolve and go around, you know, what's happening. Because it's the same thing here. But I don't get why it's such a big deal with that thing you say, this theory they teaching, but we supposed to teach our people what they need to know. So what they talking about, that don't mean nothing to me because we gonna do our work like we supposed to. So
I think we had in North America. I think we had a different advantage of.
You talking about black people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Although we were denied the roots of our culture, we were able to look over their shoulder and see what we needed to do to move to the next level. You know, sometimes it was a sellout, or if you was a house Negro or whatever the case is, but we had grounds where you can have, like we were talking about, like the Booker T's and the W.E. Du Bois, and even those before that, the Sojourner Truths and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
The Denmark Vesey's. We had those.
Absolutely.
That was pushing the people forward, and the fight for freedom was different. It wasn't as suppressed as it was in Brazil. And blacks just, it was.
You talking about chattel slavery here was better than what they did in Brazil?
No, I'm saying that the length of time, we do it like this. The length of time at the degree that people had nothing. At least we had some blacks, I think, that were able to move us forward and keep pace with what these other.
Which era are you referring to? Which era are you talking about right then?
Like doing, like say, like Louisiana Purchase and all of that stuff.
Okay.
Because in Louisiana, even in New Orleans, man, you had like what you call free people of color.
Okay.
Which they were able to circulate and do a lot of things, you know, because they weren't born in slavery, whatever the case is. So they were able to do commerce and stuff like that. Okay. And then it elevated to where you had your black Wall Streets and stuff like that, until it was destroyed by the haters. But in Brazil, you never had anything to capitulate like that for black people. So
they really didn't acquire as much, or was as successful at things as we were here in the United States.
And you didn't have a voice. I can't speak with certainty about the government, but it wasn't as much as a democracy here. So you didn't have a lot of people who was like probably trying to do Underground Railroad type thing.
Right. So you're talking about quite a journey from Louisiana, you know. Because when you talk like Harry Tubman, Nat Turner, you talking about Maryland and Virginia to Philadelphia. That's a lot different than coming from Louisiana. Yeah, quite a bit.
And so you look at the people. You look at the people here that moved mountains, man. It became what they came against all odds, bro.
It's against
with the fear of being killed, but at the same time, without the fear of being killed, because you're gonna do what you're gonna do, and they actually made it to from point A to point B, even with their successes. And in Brazil, you had to move way more mountains, man, because that foot was on your neck a lot heavier than it was up here.
That's bigger terrain too, isn't it? Brazil, a lot bigger than this. Yeah.
Bigger terrain, and they got people that's doing well.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, as far as black liberation, it never did. And nowhere, I don't think nowhere in the world did black liberation pop off like it did here, man. In the States.
But just like I mentioned to you about Pele, because I read something one time, and that's something interesting, kind of like, let's say blacks in a place like that versus blacks in a place like this, our so-called subculture, okay? It was a situation where Pele, he's riding in his Mercedes, stopped at a light, a thug opened the jacket, but because of their love and admiration for that brother, he said, I'm sorry, let the brother go. In the United States, somebody killed Martin Luther King's mother in her church. Rosa Parks got robbed in her house. And it's like here, our thugs seem to, we don't care who you are. If you got that paper, we gonna get it. But this thug could have got a Mercedes. But when he saw it as a brother they love, he's like, I'm so sorry. That's honor. That's some kind of honor right there. We need honor and respect, man.
And that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Ruthless make you ruthless. It's like you can't even. Well,
I'm glad you said it again because I didn't catch it, but I didn't want to say what you say. That's a good one.
Ruthless make you ruthless.
I like that. Yeah, so that's real talk too.
We don't even recognize our gems, man.
Right, right. Well, you say recognize. We don't care. Some of us, not all.
We don't care because you know who it is.
That boy knew that was Rosa Parks.
Right,
And he know the story. How could you not? So if we're not caring about honoring something, honoring our people, honoring us, do something with honor and respect. We got to reteach, man, because that used to be there. And it's more and more not, maybe drug addiction, whatever the reason, but man, we're going to fix it. And we're not talking about 100% participation. That's not even possible. And it's not even necessary. That's the great part. It don't take 100% of us to make things better for 100% of us. And that's the good part.
And as long as they got the right faces that's showing up to say what they need to say,
absolutely.
You can, man, I tell you what.
If you know the right truth, you won't live so wrong.
And I'll be honest, man, through Capoeira, through Mr. Preservation, I've come across a lot and I've learned a lot. I've learned to navigate through a whole bunch of bull crap, man, and sidestep certain things and still move forward. And I think it's just like how we're saying, just that awakening and finding your way back home to who we actually are and what we can do.
To loving ourselves.
And it doesn't require a lot of money. It doesn't require me to be rich. It would be nice to have more money, but me and my wife talk about it all the time. If we had more money, that means a whole lot more people would be doing better.
That's real talk. Because I know if I ever was rich, there's a lot of people gonna be happier than what they was financially.
Yeah. And that's what I see with my mestre, bro. He does the same thing, man. He's like, man, he
helping people.
He embraces people who come through. And we all learn from that, man. He's given so much, man. And
we've had, just like that brother you talking about, these are people that have showed us the way and have done the work that showed us the examples of how we need to emulate. That's what these people had done. Take perfect example, Marcus Garvey. And I'm talking about my man with Black History Month, Carl G. Woodson. But it just so happened that all of us know what Marcus did, right? He got this UNIA, about 6 million strong. But what I didn't realize until I researched the situation, that brother did that in 6 years. He wasn't even from here. 6 years, 6 million strong. Now, we can't duplicate that or emulate that, and we from here and live here. Come on now, I know we can and will. 6 years, that brother amassed an organization 6 million strong, and he wasn't even from here.
But I think Tupac kind of mentioned it, man. It's like he was alluding to getting so far and being complacent, and that's what we've done, man. It's like you come through this door. And you think they've let you in, but you don't realize that they moved everything to the next door behind and put it in another room. Now that you're here, it's like they let us in, but they moved everything. So what you thought you was getting, you're still not getting. You look in the next room and see they're there, and they keep the door closed long enough for them to move that to another room.
Yeah, but on top of that, though, sadly, they will literally give a few real money. The few that will sell the rest out. So it's going to be a few of us prospering, but we need the mindset of wanting all of us to do well, you see, as well as possible. Everybody don't have to be rich, you see what I'm saying? But everybody should have bare necessities. And as a people, we got the resources that for our people that don't have that, we can provide it if we had that mindset. It's the mindset. And we get that right, we can do the physical part that our people need because we got enough resources for us.
I learned that from my grandmother, man. She lived in an apartment right across from me, and we, shared hallway. Open up my door and go across the hall and walk in her door. And there was a kid, man, just walked in the hall and was in an apartment. I'm like, Gran, who is this She said, I don't know this little boy. He came in, he was hungry, so I'm fixing him a sandwich. And I'm like, you don't know. I'm getting upset. I've never seen him in the neighborhood or
She
whatever.
showing
The
you
case
about that
is.
love. That's that love.
And she fixed the sandwich, man. Little boy left. Today, don't know where he came from.
Oh, where he went. But that's that love, man. We got to, and we've all seen some of this. You know, just like when I was growing up on my block, North Philly, Taney Street, 1700. This brother's name, Mr. Roberts. Every time we saw him, he gave us a quarter, 50 cents. And back then, man, a quarter. You get chips, cookies, drink, all that.
That's
and
right.
This man, every time we saw him, he would just do it. That might be part of the reason why I give. I love giving to children. But I was giving $2 bills because that black man on the back, that was my motivation, you know.
Hey, bro, I do that at the school. They told me to stop. They were like I would do things, and it's like, hey, I'll do this, I'll give you this, if you can answer this, if you can behave like this.
That's motivation.
The assistant principal, she said, I heard you giving the kids money. She said, we got like, if there's some special projects you want them to do or reward them with, we have like special funds for that or whatever the case is. And to me, that's not coming from me, bro.
Right.
Y'all don't need to be included in my grace with these kids. That's our relationship, you know what I'm saying? But
not enough people loving our children, man. That's the problem. They ain't love. It ain't no love, man. Everybody, like when we was growing up, a lot of black teachers got in that field because they know our black people needed that and they did it. These days, from what I hear, a lot of teachers they like having summers off and holidays off. It's like, okay, what about the children? Like children's an afterthought, you know? That's terrible.
I tell you, man, the environment, sometimes the environment be so tiring that you just want days off, man, because you're so tired of dealing with an education system that don't allow you to be the best teacher that you want to be. See, if you and me in the same school, I shouldn't have to teach the exact way that you teach, but the end result needs to be where the students coming out learning the same thing. Mm-hmm. So if I want to do it with drum beats and they come out knowing the information, if you do it with making jewelry and they come out with the same information, everybody should be happy because you figured out a way that you're going to reach them and that they're going to respond to you and not done the same. But when they both want us to do it with paper airplanes, and that ain't my thing, but I got to do it because that's what we have to conform to. And I see that if I was doing it my way, the kids wouldn't be so bored with these paper airplanes. But because I need to get paid, and this is the profession that I chose, I just have to make these airplanes and play the drum every little time that I can. But I'm still not being that effective. And it's exhausting. It's like I just want to go home and relax. And you can't talk to the parents. Parents pimping the teachers, pimping the whole system. Actually, it should be a situation where the parent come in. You got like 4 or 5 administrators. Like, hey, let me tell you what you want to do. You're not gonna let the kid come back here looking that sloppy or hungry. We've given you vouchers, et cetera, et cetera. And the parents need to respond. But the parents be coming in like, why? And then they be sitting back, nervous and trying to figure out what can we do to make sure that the parent is happy.
No. Even if the child is wrong?
Even if the child is wrong, the child not getting it, the child went home and gave the parent a version of the story that should be in Walt Disney somewhere.
Not accurate.
Yeah, and it's not accurate. And sometimes it could just be the kid not being able to comprehend what happened, and the parent not adult enough or mature enough to dig in on it. What did the teacher say? But what did you do? They probably, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Then if you have to come up there, your kid need to be right there and say, tell me what the teacher said.
Yeah, but see, they ain't trying to help nothing. They trying to do a right now, get it out our way thing, and that's it. They ain't trying to fix nothing. They ain't trying to fix it. That's all right. We got some black men, and I'm sure some black women too. Even though I like focusing on bringing black men together for our children, so that they can see it. And I know people talk about boys seeing these black men, but I know these girls need to see positive black men too, so they know what a good black man is like. So
man, I have so many kids, man. They coming up to me like One little girl had everybody convinced that I was her grandpa. They're like, is that your grand? And I used to have to tell her, look, if you keep acting a fool, not doing your work in school and you missing, and they have anybody got eyes on you because she just mom. I said, you can't be even my fake granddaughter, because my real granddaughter wouldn't have been acting like that.
Right. See, that's that love, man. I'm telling you. Man, it's so many stories we could tell. Because I had a guy like that, police officer, P.K. Gilstrap, worked for Dallas Police Sergeant. He retired now. We was at W.W. Bush, and I believe, say, man, this little girl came up to him and said, will you be my daddy? Oh, man, it touched him so much. It touched him. And then I think I talked to him like less than a month ago. He ran into that same little girl in the grocery store. And she said to him that she appreciated how kind he was when she said that to him about, will you be my dad? Say, man, that's some touching stuff right there.
That's a testimony by itself of what they're missing, man.
Right,
they missing that male,
that positive male image. They might have some males in their life that ain't positive.
Positive. Who's like I said, my big word is consistent. Who's consistent with them, with the direction that you're trying to point them in, regardless to if I'm toxic or not. I'm still guiding you to not make the mistakes that I made and do some things better. At least we can, you know, I don't care how toxic you are, you know what a kid should be doing, you know what they should have, and you can present that. Then you can show them that I'm not perfect, but I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want you, I've done that, been there, whatever the case is, or if I hadn't, I've seen it happen to others. I don't want that to happen to you. Let me show you a different direction, and together, you know,
and they want that. They want that guidance. They want it. They want it. But it's not enough of us putting forth the effort to get it to them. But they want it. But we're going to keep doing what we can and hopefully recruit some more that's willing to do what's needed. And I'm sure when people see us doing the type of things we're talking about and we're actually doing it, I think that's when people will start jumping on the bandwagon and chipping in and contributing just like us. I believe that for sure.
Beautiful.
Yeah, nothing but love, black on black love. But anyway, man, I really appreciate you coming on here, man. And wow, it's great just to know so many people that care about our people. I'm blessed to know those type of people. So I just appreciate you and everybody like you. That's what I feel.
Oh, bro, you're a magnet for it, bro. And I think as we do what we do, we become magnets for those who on that same mission, man.
That love our people.
The plight, man. And we have to, man, we have to stay focused. And it's not about me doing what you do or you don't have to do what I do. But at the end of the day, it all come out in the wash the same.
And helping our people.
Our people. And that's the only, you know, and I think that's where we get hung up sometimes. Because this person not doing it like I want to do it. It's like, is that
that's some of them get caught up. I don't get caught up because when all I gotta know is that you black and you love black people. I know you doing your best at whatever you can. That's what I know. So once I know that about you, that you love black people, you good. We good. I'm lying. That's the criteria for me. You love us. I want to be something with you, friend or something. That's what that is. All right, bro. So you go ahead, stay strong, keep doing what you do, and I know you cook real good, man. You need to invite me back over. You fixed one meal. I ain't get my second meal yet. You did give me an invite that I screwed up, I'll admit. But yeah, I need my second meal.
Yeah, we gonna chow down. What this is May. We got something coming up by the end of May, man. Hopefully you'll be able to come over and indulge in some calories, bro.
I sure will. Yeah, anything but that pork.
We got you, bro. Rich name.
Hey, man, thanks again, bro. I appreciate it.
All right, bro. Love you, man.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, hit that drum. Boy, you stupid. I love my people.